What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage. Today we are here back on our CBR300R Flat Tracker Build, day 18. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be finishing off all of the electronics, all the lighting, the gauge cluster, the speedo assembly, making sure everything fits, is trimmed to size, taped off correctly in its home. Finished product is really what we're looking for here at the end of this episode. Part of the most important part of your build is the final electronics. If somebody takes your seat off of your custom build and it looks like a bird lives under there, it's not done right. I hope you actually learned something today. I hope you enjoy seeing all the lighting come to life. I'm excited for this episode. I like lighting. Lighting's fun. It looks good. It's right down to the end product, and that's where we're headed. You guys ready? I'm definitely ready. Let's finish this thing off. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage. Today we are back on our CBR300 Flat Tracker Build, day 18. On our last episode we got this thing running. So now I'm going to focus on finishing up all of the lighting. So we got our tail light to be wired in, tail light blinkers, license plate light, and then up front, headlight, high beam, low beam, blinkers, and then we have our aftermarket gauge cluster that also needs to be wired. Hopefully we'll get to all of that today. So let's try as hard as we can. So let's jump into this and get to work. All right, everyone, so we got the tail light wired in, running light, stop light, left and right blinkers. I double checked to make sure that the brake light comes on with both front and rear brakes. Everything back there is good. Moving on to the front, I'm gonna start, well, I've already started with the blinkers, which I believe are up and running at this point. Yep, so we got blinkers going on. I ran into a little bit of trouble with the headlight at the moment. I need to do a little bit more digging into the computer. So we're going to take a little break here for a second, and I'm going to bury my face in the computer for a few minutes, and then hopefully I'll figure out what's going on with my headlight, and we'll be back with you guys in just a minute. So hang in there. We'll be right back. I needed a few minutes to look at the wiring diagram and figure out why my wiring isn't working the same way here and there, and I think I got everything squared away. So I need to reconnect one of these wires that I disconnected from everything else previously, and that should make everything work that I want, the way that I want it to. So I'm going to reconnect that, and then we're going to retest and make sure that everything works the way I want it to, and we're just going to continue on. Hopefully in a few minutes we'll have both high beam, low beam, and halos lit and wired, and I already got the blinkers and running. These are actually running lights as well. Those are all wired in and ready to go. So once that's all done, I get to mess with this mess. We'll have to figure out where all that stuff goes later, but let's finish up the headlight. Okay, so I got my headlights wired the way that I want them. So right now this is both high beam and low beam lit with the halos also lit. If I switch to the low beam, still have the halo, high beam is off, still have the low beam lit. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wire a switch in for this low beam so you can just disconnect the low beam and still have the halos running if you'd like to. That's more of like kind of a parking lot thing than it would be, you know, something to drive around with, because, you know, there'd be no light. But a nice simple switch just to power the low beam back on, and have your rocker for your high beam, and we'll have all of our lights lit the way that I want to have them lit. So now I just have to finish up all my wiring, get everything tucked in behind where the number plate goes, and we'll be ready to roll. So we got our switch and our plugs in the mail. So we are back here today in the shop, back on the 300 to finish up the wiring for the gauge cluster. The lighting is all complete, so this is all just gauge cluster wire. I'm going to add a switch to the system so I can make it possible to turn off the low beam separately from everything else, so we could just have halos running. Before we get into that, let's get into wiring some of this other stuff that's kind of going to be in the way. So we got some waterproof connectors. They're going to go, I'm going to wind up making 2 connectors off of this harness, and they're both going to get plugged in back behind in here. This is going to be the other half of the connector. So we're going to clip all that, pull all these back so we can attach our wires, and we'll have all of our plugs done. So nice waterproof connectors, got these from Amazon. Very simple. They are a little on the big side, but they should fit in here nicely. So I got all of my connectors completed, wrapped up, and this is actually just for the lighting. Now I'm going to install my switch so I can kill the low beam so we could have halos only. It's going to look like that. So instead of like this. So I want to be able to disconnect that so it looks like that whenever you want it to look like that. We got a new waterproof switch. It is meant to be put on the handlebars, and we really don't have any more room on the handlebars, so I'm going to install it someplace sneaky. We're going to wire it from there, and then we'll move on to getting that damn speedo pickup wherever it is. There's a speedo pickup around here that needs to be installed too. So let's get this switch done, get all the lighting complete, and then we'll move on to the speedo pickup. So power off, wiring on. So we are done. We have finally gotten through the electrical on this bike. I'm again already at brain fry at this point, and it really wasn't even that much today, but just making sure that everything works right and is tucked away and taped off and all that stuff. It's a little overwhelming, but we got it done. Now all this bike needs is its gas tank, rear fender, and seat to be installed, and she'll be ready to roll. So pretty excited about this bike. I know it doesn't look like a whole lot the way that it sits, but with the gas tank on it and the seat and everything on it, it looks pretty cool. I'm excited to maybe take this thing around town a little bit, give it a little bit of a workout. I guess that's it for this episode. Was it episode 18? I believe it's 18. Finishing up with episode 18 on our CBR300R Flat Tracker Build. Wow, it's been a long one. Yeah, it's definitely been a long one. We actually did quite a bit of stuff to this machine in this episode. It was all electrical, so we kept it all in the family. So I know this probably wasn't the most exciting footage that you've seen us do, but definitely stuff that needs to be done before your bike is completed. So I thank you for joining us in this episode, and if you like this type of motorcycle content, please like, share, subscribe, and if you are at all interested in possibly winning this motorcycle or any future motorcycle that we build, check out the Patreon link, first link in the description below. Thank you all very much for staying till the end, and we will see you on the next episode. Outro crew, do you dig having the switch to turn all the white lights off and just having the halos, or do you think it was a waste of time? Don't forget to put OC in your comments so we know it comes from you. We love you long time. Thanks for sticking till the end, and we will see you guys definitely on the next episode.